Welcome to the first learning outcome, where we look at two ideas that sit underneath every good research project: integrity and quality. Before you gather a single response, it's worth understanding what makes your findings trustworthy and how to treat the people who help you fairly. Here's the thing about research: your project is only as trustworthy as the way you carried it out. Quality is about whether your findings are sound, that is, valid and reliable, while integrity is about whether you worked honestly and treated people ethically. Imagine surveying customers at a cafe but quietly ignoring the answers you didn't like. The numbers might look neat, but nobody should believe them. Markers reward students who genuinely act on these ideas, not just those who can define them. Let's meet the three concepts you'll return to again and again. Validity is about whether your research actually measures what it claims to measure. Reliability is about whether your method would give consistent results if someone ran it again in the same way. And ethics covers the moral principles that protect your participants and keep the whole thing honest. A dartboard is the classic way to picture this, where the bullseye is the true answer. If your darts land tightly together but off to one side, you're reliable but not valid, consistent yet consistently wrong. If they scatter around the center, you might be right on average but not repeatable. What you're really after is tight and on center, both valid and reliable at once. Validity actually comes in a few different flavors. Internal validity asks whether your results were genuinely caused by the thing you studied, rather than some hidden factor. External validity asks whether your findings would carry over to other people or firms. And construct validity asks whether your measure truly captures the idea, for instance, whether a survey question about customer loyalty really measures loyalty. A small study of one local shop often has strong internal validity but weak external validity. Plenty of things can quietly undermine validity. Leading questions nudge people towards a particular answer, and an unrepresentative sample, like surveying only your friends, won't reflect the wider population. You might also end up measuring the wrong thing entirely, asking about price when you really meant to study value, or miss a confounding factor you never controlled for. Each of these chips away at your claim that the findings are true. Reliability rests on three ideas worth separating out. Consistency means your instrument gives similar results across different respondents and over time. Repeatability means another researcher following your method would reach broadly the same result. And standardization, asking everyone the same questions in the same way, cuts down on random error. It helps to hold the two questions side by side. Validity asks, am I measuring the right thing? And it's all about accuracy and truth. Reliability asks, would I get the same result again? And it's about consistency. The catch is that you can be perfectly reliable and still be perfectly wrong, so consistency on its own is never enough. Now to ethics, which protects your participants, the honesty of your research, and you as the researcher. In the UK, educational and social research follows recognised codes such as the BERA Ethical Guidelines from 2018. The core duties are informed consent, confidentiality and anonymity, data protection, avoiding harm and plain honesty. Normally you'd seek ethical approval before collecting any data at all. Think of ethical research as resting on 5 pillars. Informed consent means people freely agree to take part, knowing what's involved and that they can withdraw. Confidentiality and anonymity protect their identities and personal data, while data protection means handling that data lawfully. Add avoiding harm and simple honesty, no bias, no fabrication, and no plagiarism, and you've got the full set. A few terms here are easy to muddle, so let's be precise. Informed consent is agreement given freely after someone has been told the purpose and their right to withdraw. Anonymity means no one, not even you, can link a response back to a person, whereas confidentiality means the data can be linked but is kept secure and private. And plagiarism, presenting someone else's words or ideas as your own, is avoided simply by citing and referencing. If you collect personal data, say names, emails, or opinions tied to a person, you have to handle it lawfully. The golden rule is to collect only what you actually need and keep it secure, so a password-protected file rather than a shared drive anyone can open. Tell participants how their data will be used and stored, and delete it once the project ends. The Information Commissioner's Office, the ICO, publishes plain English guidance on the UK GDPR for small projects. Honesty really comes down to reporting what you actually found, even when it doesn't support what you hoped for. That means no cherry-picking the convenient data and no exaggerating your results. Every source gets acknowledged with an in-text citation and a Harvard reference, and direct quotes go in quotation marks. It's worth taking seriously because academic misconduct can sink an otherwise strong project. This next criterion is about doing, not just defining. It's not enough to know what validity, reliability, and ethics mean. You need to show how you built them into your own project. Every design choice you make either strengthens or weakens quality, so you should be able to point to specific steps you took for each one. So how do these concepts turn into actions? For validity, you match your questions to your aim, pilot the questionnaire, and use a representative sample. For reliability, you ask everyone the same standardized questions and keep the conditions consistent. For ethics, you use consent forms, anonymize responses, and store data securely. And keeping a simple research log means your whole method can be checked and repeated. Picture the project as a sequence. You design questions that clearly match your aim, then pilot them on a few people to fix anything confusing. You give participants an information sheet and consent form, collect answers in the same standardized way, then anonymize and store the data securely. Finally, you reference your sources and report the findings honestly. And at each of those steps, you're strengthening either quality or integrity. Let's ground this in a scenario. Say a learner surveys staff at a local Greggs branch about job satisfaction. They'd hand each employee an information sheet and consent form, make clear that taking part is optional, and number the responses rather than using names. They'd keep everything in a password-protected file, avoid touchy areas like pay disputes that could land someone in trouble, and report every result honestly, including the awkward ones. Here's a first draft that needs work. A survey asking 10 friends, "Don't you agree our great new app is easy to use?" The question is leading, which damages validity, and 10 friends are hardly a representative sample. The fix is to reword it neutrally, something like, "How easy or difficult did you find the app to use?" and to recruit a larger, more varied group of real users. Pilot it first to check everyone reads the questions the same way, and you've turned a bias study into a fair one. It's worth knowing why all this matters for your marks. The grading standards reward knowledge and understanding, subject-specific skills, and transferable skills. And showing that you controlled quality and acted ethically demonstrates all three. A short section in your report explaining your validity, reliability, and ethics choices is genuinely expected. These are also the sort of skills employers and universities value, so the effort pays off well beyond this unit. Let's pull the threads together. Quality means findings that are valid, measuring the right thing and reliable, giving consistent results, with validity coming in internal, external, and construct forms. Integrity means honest, ethical research, informed consent, anonymity, lawful data handling, avoiding harm, and no plagiarism. And remember, the real marks come from action, piloting your questions, standardizing your method, and explaining those choices in your report. So that's the foundation of trustworthy research, getting quality and integrity right before you begin. If you'd like to go deeper, the further reading points you towards well-known research methods, texts from Saunders and colleagues, and from Bell and Waters, along with Braun and Clark's work on thematic analysis. For the ethics and data protection side, the BERA and ICO websites are excellent practical starting points. Have a look at whichever matches the stage you're at and carry these standards into every part of your project.